the hard work, all the pain, all the sweat, all the anguish. The time is now. Ain't no run, ain't no hide. Two teams gonna enter, and one team gonna leave with his head up, the other's gonna leave with his head down. If you get knocked down, that's okay. It's who can last the round. And you got to throw them balls. You can't hold nothing back. Don't get caught up in the hype. It's time to fight. From beginning, you fight to win. In the middle, you fight to win. In the end, you fight to win. We always work to what? Win. Let's go win.
And hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us for the ASU Football Buzz with the head man, Coach Brian Jenkins. I'm your host, Mo Carter. He is Coach Brian Jenkins, and the Hornets are coming off another big victory on the road at Arkansas Pine Bluff, 31-24, in front of a national television audience. Of course, Coach, you pick up another victory. How important was this win as your team gets ready for the second half of the season?
It was very important, for us to walk away with this victory. We knew it was going to be a hard-fought football game, which it was. We knew they were going to bring their best. They had a open week, so I think they took advantage of it very well. They came in very rested, but yet energetic and ready to go. So it was our fourth ball game in 18 days or so. But our guys were up for the task and found a way to complete the task and walk away with the victory.
Now, of course, we're leading up to the game. We talked about how this fourth game in a short amount of time may take a toll, but for the most part, how excited are you that stretch is now over?
Right, I'm excited that stretch is over, but during that stretch, we learned a lot about our football team. We learned that our guys are starting to develop mental toughness, which you need to build a championship program. And so we're learning that about our coaching staff. We learned that our team is resilient. It was a game there that we lost in the past that we felt we had a chance to win, and they fought all the way down to the last second on the clock. And then for them to be able to bounce back and put together a semi-good performance or a performance well enough to win and face the many obstacles that we faced in this game, during this stretch, it just really taught us a lot about our football team.
Now, in this previous game, of course, you guys had dug yourself into a hole early, but how impressed were with your team from second quarter on out and able to fight their way to a victory?
Well, it wasn't necessarily a thing of being impressed. I was just finally glad that we were able to start operating correctly and start to do the things that we're coached to do. We came out flat and Pine Bluff came out on fire. We were moving the ball down the field and we were careless with the football. Our football fundamentals were awful. And I think that's what kept Pine Bluff in the game. But, overall, I was glad to see our guys be able to pull it together and have the mental toughness to once again find a way to win.
All right, Coach Brian Jenkins giving his early thoughts on their recent victory over Arkansas Pine Bluff. Right now, we are going to send you two highlights from that great game out there in Pine Bluff, Arkansas. So let's take a look at the Hornets getting a victory over Pine Bluff, and then we'll be right back after those highlights.
Hello, Hornets family. I'm head coach Brian Jenkins.
Hello, Hornet family. I'm Melvin Hines, Vice President, Intercollegiate Athletics.
We're coming to you today to ask the Hornet family to get involved and make contributions to the Devon Gales Fund.
And you can find a link on BamaStateSports.com for the Devon Gale Fund.
As you know, Devon Gales is a young man that participated in football at Southern University. Unfortunately, he had a tragic injury.
So come on, Hornet family. The opportunity is here. The opportunity is now. Support the fund.
We are built on heritage and tradition. 10 teams that honor this heritage. Heritage built by legends and honored by fans. And on December 5th, in Houston, Texas, Judgment Day will be our day for the next legend to rise. Honor the heritage.
And we're back with the ASU Football Buzz. I'm Mo Carter along with Coach Brian Jenkins, and we'll review what happened this past week in Pine Bluff, Arkansas. Now, of course, Coach, in the first quarter, ASU had self-inflicted wounds from the early on start. With third play of the game, Jameer Hanna loses the ball, goes to the hand of Willie Duncan, turns into an interception. What were your thoughts when you saw that happen?
Well, the number one thing is that our guys were pressing. You know, they were pressing, really trying to push the button to make things happen. And you can't do that. You know, if you operate correctly and at 100%, you don't have to press. You know, things will go the way they were supposed to go. He was giving great effort, ran a good route, caught the ball. It was a great pass, but just trying to do more than what's asked of him caused him to play out of character and cause a team inflicted wound.
All right, now your defense buckles down and actually comes up with a strip by, Courtney Berry recovers it. Caleb Madden actually comes up with the strip, so you're able to stop UAPB deep in their territory to try to swing the momentum. So, of course, defense stepping up. Let's just walk through that play.
Right. Well, I mean, our defense has stepped up, you know, several times before and have been a bend but don't break defense, you know. And we've been outmanned, you know, in every game that we've went in, but yet our guys still line up and give their all. And it was good to see Caleb break on the ball, and in fact, he was just a step late from intercepting it. But he still had the awareness enough to strip the ball. And those are things that we do in practice that we work on. And he stripped the ball, and the other guys, by swarming the ball, were able to be in position to recover it. And that caused a little bit of a momentum swing to where our offense got on the field and was able to be productive and find a way to put some points on the board.
All right, now later in the quarter, of course, it's still a scoreless game. We're punting, but Austin Shepard kind of do a rugby-style punt, but he shanks it.
Right, and that was very discouraging to see, but you know what happens.
I totally understand. Well, Arkansas Pine Bluff gets the ball on a short field, and their quarterback Sorensen finds Hawkins an early touchdown, so Hornets down 7-0 in that one. But, of course, I know for sure you're pulling your guys to the side saying it ain't over, no way.
No, one thing I kept telling my guys was to calm down. That was the first time I kind of seen my team a little rattled, you know. And so I just kept telling them, calm down, take a deep breath, stay in the moment. You know, stay in the moment. Let's operate in the moment. And if we can operate in the moment, everything will be okay. And, you know, they finally figured it out. They finally calmed down. We finally got moving offensively and ended up putting some points on the board.
All right, and of course, Khalid Thomas would fumble. That would lead to Arkansas Pine Bluff TD making it 14-0. But in the second quarter, a heavy dose of Khalid Thomas leads to the first points of the game for ASU.
Khalid Thomas, I mean, when he fumbled that ball, once again, it was him trying to give a little bit more than what's asked of him. And because of that, he had poor ball position, poor ball security, and he turned the ball over. And he was very upset about it. I was, because we practice the football fundamentals daily. I mean, we spend enough time on ball security and different things like that. So to see us be careless with the ball or have the ball in bad position was very disheartening. But nevertheless, we were able as a team to you know, put it behind us fast and find a way to get right back out on the field and produce some points offensively. All
right, now, of course, after that, your defense plays very, very well, get you great field position. Then Thomas will score from 16 yards out, and all of a sudden, it's a 14-14 ball game.
Right. And our guys, you know, once we get into our groove, we're very hard to stop offensively, and defense was stepping in and got into their groove, and they were able to do some things to slow that team down. So But Thomas got going, and I tell you what, he's a good player. You know, once he gets going, and he got going and was able to produce for us and do some really good things.
Was that more of your plan, that you wanted to kind of, you know, get the running game going to kind of get towards the balance to set up the pass?
Well, our main thing was to just be productive offensively. You know, if it was throwing the ball, we wanted to be productive. If it was running the ball, we wanted to be productive. So going into the game, the number one thing we told our guys were put productive plays together consistently. And so once we got that going, everyone was able to see we were able to move the ball up and down the field.
All right, so let's move into the third quarter. It continues to stay tight, but then Arkansas Pine Bluff drives down the field, getting ready to score, but then the defense comes up with their third interception of the year, Karan Ramsey with that INT.
Right, Karan Ramsey did a phenomenal job. He's a young man that his role has been asked to increase, and I tell you what, he's taking it on and really starting to heat up back there. And it was very good to see him step in and make a play on an interception. I mean, we had been telling those guys we were right there, we were close to getting one, and he did exactly what he was coached to do. He was able to fall back in and get the interception, and it was good for our football team, for our defense, to stop them from going in and get the ball back to our offense.
A big red zone stop. I know that has been something we haven't seen too much this year, but I'm sure you and your staff are very, very happy to see that.
Right, definitely. Very happy to see it. That's something that we've been harping on, you know, about the red zone stops. And I tell you what, our guys have been really taking to what we've been preaching, and the defensive staff has been working very hard to be productive in that area. And it was good to see some of the benefits, come available, you know, Saturday when Karan intercepted the ball.
Okay, now, of course, we're still looking at a 17-17 ball game, but then those self-inflicted wounds go towards Arkansas Pine Bluff. They're deep inside the shadow of the end zone, and then they fumble, and we get the recovery, and we've got great field position inside the 5.
Right, we did. We got great field position inside the 5. I think because of the pressure that we were putting on them, it caused them to be uncomfortable in some phases of the game, and it led to a turnover. But our guys are right there. They got on the ball, and our offense stepped in and punched it in the end zone.
Yes, sir. Daniel Duhart had the touchdown, which was real interesting because he literally had that play fake down to a T. Everybody was going after Khalid, and then Duhart slips a few tackles at that to get in the end zone.
Yeah, but Duhart is coming back to true form, and we all know what he can do when he's fully in the game. And so he did exactly what we thought he would do and what he could do. And once again, we were able to put productive plays together on a consistent basis, which the final result was more points on the board for our football team.
Now, later in the game, team is up 24-17. Stanley Robinson takes the handoff. However, he fumbles, tries to get it back, and then all of a sudden, Pine Bluff turns into a scoop and score, and now it's a tie game.
Well, I think it was a play where Stanley was a little anxious. You know, Stanley's a good football player. He brings a toughness to our football team, and he's a team guy. And I know that really caused a disruption inside of him to know that he fumbled. You know, the one thing I felt good about the young man is that after the game was over, me and Stanley talked, and he took full responsibility for the fumble. He didn't put it on anybody else. He didn't blame anybody else. And he stepped up to the plate like a real man and said, "Coach, that was on me. It wasn't on Duhart. I didn't make a good enough pocket like me and you have talked about before. And I was just careless, and I take full responsibility, and I got to do better." And like I told Stanley, you know, I can respect that, and I can continue to work with him, and I know Coach Joseph will continue to work with him in order to get him to be productive, because he took onus of what he did not do well and what he caused, and I think he was very remorseful for it, but nevertheless, he didn't hang his head. He continued to contribute in many other phases of the game, which helped us secure victory in the end.
Now, let me ask you about this, Coach. After that touchdown, there was a long TV timeout, and we can see from the press box looking down to the stands, you had a big team meeting. What did you tell the team at that point in time with about maybe less than 7 minutes to go?
Well, the number one thing is now we got to finish. We're in the late rounds, and we can't dance around and leave it up to the judges, you know. And a lot of times I relate football to boxing, and I just told them, we got to finish. We're in the championship rounds, and if you want this ball game, then you got to finish this ball game with authority. and not just finish it, but finish it with authority. And my guys heard every word I said. I think the coaches heard every word I said, and they took the right attitude from what I said to them, and they went out and they finished the ball game.
Now, of course, instant replay played a major role in this game, especially in the last drive. We'll start off with this big play. Daniel Duhart going down the field to Josh Davis. 47-yard game. Of course, they have to go up to the booth to make sure that he had the catch, makes a football move, and he was down. From what we were seeing in the press box was that I felt that he was really never down because he landed on top of the defender. What was your sights from the sideline?
That was the same thing I saw. I saw he made a clean catch. He came down. Him and the defender was fighting for the ball, and he landed on top of the defender. And then when he got up to run, they said he was down. So then when they came back and said, well, we want to make sure if he caught the ball, it kind of threw me off. But I thought it was clear that he caught the ball. But they went to the booth. They made the right call, and we kept the ball. And once again, that was a drive that led us into scoring some points. Okay,
now, of course, we continue on with that drive. Heavy dose of Khalid Thomas once again, and eventually we get it down inside the 5, hand it off to him. He gets across the goal line, still no signal. Then they don't give a signal and just say, let's just go up to the top. I'm going to walk you through what I saw. Right. We're looking at the replay booth. They only had the behind the end zone shot and maybe a top stand shot. They didn't bring the goal line shot in until at least 3 or 4 minutes later. We see the ball going across the line, but you don't see where his knees are at. How about Arkansas Pine Bluff defenders are in the viewing area of his knees, so they can't determine if he's down. So all of a sudden, refs say touchdown.
Well, the thing I saw something similar. I saw the ball cross the plane, and then he go down, but I can understand why they reviewed it. And referees have a tough job, and we as coaches give them a really tough time, especially me. I'm hard on the referees, and I probably got a reputation of being that. But the one thing I can say, they got a tough job, and they took it to the booth, and I thought it was the right call. And even if they said it wasn't a tough touchdown, I can understand because when you got that many, it was a foul, and you got that many people in there, and you got to make that call. That's tough. So, but I respect the refs and their job and what they do. I don't always agree with the calls, but I respect the jobs and everything. And like I said, I thought the booth got it right. But even if they would have said no touchdown, we did line right back up, went for it, and I really think we would have got it in.
Okay, so you take the lead late, 31-24. Now it's time for the defense to buckle down and complete this game. You start to get a lot of pressure from your linebackers and your defensive ends, who early on they were making plays, but the plays that they needed to get off the field, they weren't. But in that last drive, they definitely were doing it, especially your defensive ends.
Right, definitely. I thought the defensive ends got some pressure on the quarterback, which disrupted him a little bit. And I think, we made a little bit of an adjustment defensively for that last drive, which I thought was a phenomenal move by our defensive staff. And because of that, we were able to stop those guys from advancing the ball or putting themselves in a position to score points.
And Hornets come away with a victory. What did you take away from this victory?
Well, I just took away that our guys are starting to gain a mental toughness. The one thing we got to stop doing is stop playing from behind. But I think our team is starting to gain a mental toughness and learn how to win. And it's unfortunate that we turned the ball over the way we did, but we still found a way to come away with the victory.
All right, that's Coach Brian Jenkins talking about the big victory his team had last week, 31-24 over Arkansas Pine Bluff. When we return with the ASU Football Buzz, we'll get the Swarm and Sting Players of the Week. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
For nearly 150 years, Alabama State University has embraced a mission that is student-focused, academically rigorous, and increasingly global in its vision and scope, with a growing emphasis on scientific research and innovations, housed in its 6 degree-granting colleges. As the university expands its science and technology footprint, 2 of our colleges are working on major advancements in STEM-related research and applications. The College of Health Sciences, which boasts in-demand programs such as physical therapy and prosthetics and orthotics, is changing lives with technological advancements that improve the quality of life for injured veterans, stroke victims, and patients who have experienced amputations and other injuries impacting motor control. Students and professors in the College of Science, Mathematics, and Technology are conducting cutting-edge research in areas ranging from nanobiotechnology to tissue engineering, thanks to millions of dollars in grant funding from institutions such as the National Science Foundation, the U.S. Department of Energy, and the National Institutes of Health. The college is home to several STEM-related centers of excellence, including the National Science Foundation's Center for Nanobiotechnology Research. The university's flagship college, the College of Education, has been ranked among the nation's leading producers of African American educators. The College of Liberal Arts and Social Science prepares graduates for careers in fields ranging from communications to law. The College of Business Administration is recognized for producing entrepreneurs and leaders in business and industry. The College of Visual and Performing Arts has launched graduates to Broadway and beyond. From Broadway to boardrooms, from classrooms to crime scenes, ASU graduates are leaving their mark and making a difference in Alabama, in the nation, and around the globe. Alabama State University. Opportunity is here.
And we're back with the ASU Football Buzz. I'm Mo Carter. He is Coach Brian Jenkins. And Coach, it's now time to talk about your Swarm and Sting Players of the Week. Who's your Offensive Player of the Week?
Yeah, I would say Khalid Thomas and then Karan Ramsey. I mean, those two guys, I think, did a phenomenal job Saturday night, and I think they stood out among all others.
With Khalid on the offense, of course, he kind of carried the workload, several touchdowns, 148 yards on the ground.
Yeah, he did. He did a phenomenal job. I mean, he put that offensive team on his back and really carried that team up and down the field. And I think he has to be commended for that, for his effort.
And then on the defensive side, of course, you mentioned Ramsey, several tackles, but that big interception inside the red zone.
Definitely. He's a young man who's been kind of forced into an increasing role on this team. And I tell you what, he's accepted it, and he's really coming on and getting better and better. And he's going to only get better as his career continues to develop. And he's a young man that doesn't surprise me. He's starting to see the success that he's starting to see. He's a very coachable young man. He's a very prideful young man. He works hard, and it was really good to see him kind of break out of his shell a little bit and really make some plays.
All right, your Swarm and Sting Players of the Week are Khalid Thomas and Karan Ramsey. We'll be right back on the ASU Football Buzz, but here's a look at the upcoming event schedule. And we're back in the final stretch of the ASU Football Buzz. I'm Mo Carter along with Coach Brian Jenkins, the head man of the football squad here at Alabama State University. Coach, just looking through the SWAC recap from this past week, and of course, your team victorious in Arkansas Pine Bluff. Grambling and Alcorn in overtime. Grambling beats them 35-34. Special teams comes up with the big in the win.
It doesn't surprise me. I mean, like I've been saying all year, I think Grambling's a first-class program. You know, Coach Broderick is a first-class player. First-class coach, and he was a first-class player as well for Grambling. And his father was a phenomenal coach during his tenure, and he's over there assisting him. So he has a good staff, you know, and so it doesn't surprise me that when it came down to the small things, that they were able to find a way to win. And you know, Alcorn is a phenomenal football team. They've proven that they're the champs. You know, until someone knocks them off, and it looked like Grambling has just done that. So my hat goes off to Grambling and Coach Fobbs, and congratulations on the victory. But knowing Jay like I do, he's not going to take that loss, you know, easy, and I know he's going to rally his troops to come back and finish the season strong.
Other games that were going on, Prairie View beat Southern 47-42, spoiling Southern's homecoming in Baton Rouge.
Right, another tough game. You know, Southern's a tough football team, and then you know Prairie View has got a new bright coach that has done a phenomenal job there in getting them rolling. And Prairie View is a very talented football team. People don't realize that, and I think they've been a team that no one has been talking about, but they're very talented. But I think everybody's going to start paying attention to them now since they've went into Southern and won at Southern, on their homecoming, and that's something that's very hard to do.
Other scores to tell you about: Texas Southern beats Valley 49-21, and your next opponent, Alabama A&M, beat Jackson State 28-22.
Hard-fought football game. And Alabama A&M, made some plays at every phase of the game. They went open the game up with a kickoff return or so for a touchdown, and they just did a lot of phenomenal things, to find a way to gain that victory. All
right, we'll talk about Alabama A&M in just a second, but of course, we're on a bye week now, and gives your players a little time to sit down and rest just a little bit, but they'll still be in the classrooms, making sure everything's going well. But how important is the bye week for you as a coach and your coaching staff, especially on the recruiting standpoint?
Well, it's very important in every phase of our program. One, it gives us a chance to get our young men caught up in the classroom. Sometimes you can fall behind when you have 4 games in 18 days, with the travel and the adjustment because you got games in the middle of the week. So it gives them a chance to get caught up in the classroom. It gives them a chance to get their bodies refreshed a little bit. But it gives us a chance as coaching staff to spend a little bit more time on recruiting, being able to target some guys in the state as well as out of the state and start putting a plan together of recruiting those guys. So this time is very important to our program, and we got to make sure we use it wisely even though we don't have a game. We got to make sure that we're still practicing and being competitive in practice so we don't lose our edge or our game timing.
Now, I know I can't go into too much in depth with this question, but when it comes to recruiting, what are you and your staff looking for a player in as far as them to become the next ASU Hornet?
Well, the number one thing, we want a guy that has some goals and ambitions to go beyond what he sees or what he knows or what he hears. We want a guy that has just a limited drive to be able to reach those goals off the football field as well as on the field. We want a guy that has good character, a guy who understands what being an Alabama State man is all about, because that's very important, because once you leave these walls, you're always going to carry that tag of being an ASU man. So we want guys who understand that and want to be a part of something great and want to work to make this program great. So we look high and low and far and near to make sure that we can find those guys that can help, that's going to help propel this program to the highest of high academically as well as athletically.
Now, following the bye week, Alabama State will take on its biggest rival, Alabama A&M, in the Magic City Classic. I'm sure probably when you got here, tons of people ask you, what do you think about the Classic? What do you think about the Classic? And I know what kind of guy you are. You like the game at a time. But now that game's here, Coach.
Right. Well, it's the same as every other game in my eyes, but I'm no fool. I'm not blind to it. I know it's a big game to our fans and to our alumni. They're really looking at that game, I've been in situations where the schedule first came out, and the first thing I get is, can't wait till the Magic City Classic, Coach, and I'm like, hey, what about the other games before that? But I've been coaching a long time, and I understand how important this is. This is bragging rights and different things for the year. And so this victory is very important. But, in preparing this football team, I got to get them to understand that everybody's our rivalry. Everybody deserves our attention. Everybody deserves our level of 10 when it comes to work ethic. And we look at every game the same. And we're going to prepare for every game the same. And that's with the level of 10 and with a focus to win. And we're going to look at this classic game as the same.
And just on a final note, Alabama A&M's coach, James Spady, you and Coach Spade have known each other over the years. You sit next to each other at SWAC Media Days, and I kind of saw you guys nudging a little bit here and there. But what are your thoughts about Coach Spade?
Coach Spade is a wonderful guy. He's a great guy. We spent some time together when I was Louisiana Lafayette, and he was at Grambling. And we talked football and exchanged offensive philosophies. I thought when Alabama A&M came open and he spoke to me about it, I told him, I think it's the right choice. And I thought when Alabama A&M hired Coach Spady, they hired a first-class guy. I really do. And I really think a lot of him. I think he's doing a phenomenal job there, and I got a lot of respect for him. So I'm really interested in going toe-to-toe with him in this heavyweight fight that's coming up. It might be a heavyweight versus a middleweight when you look at his waistline and look at mine. So it's a totally different. But no, I got a lot of respect for him. He's a very respectable guy. He's a very honorable guy. And he's one that's about the development of young people. And that's why I have so much respect for him.
All right, that's Coach Brian Jenkins, the head man here at Alabama State University with the football team. We're wrapping up another edition of the ASU Football Buzz with Coach Jenkins. I'm your man, Mo Carter, the host of this thing, and for the most part, we appreciate you joining us each and every week on this. And get ready, the Magic City Classic coming up soon. Have a great weekend.